Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the MotUS Edge. I am here today with Casey Jones, and our incredible guest is none other than the Jason Larkins, the cheer director at American Cheer and the host of Let's Talk Cheer podcast. Welcome, Jason.
The man, the myth, the legend. Boom.
Here we are. What up, party people? Glad to be on. Let's go. Let's do this.
This is like what, your second or third podcast that you've ever done, right?
Dude, I've been on a handful. I've been on a handful. Honestly, I really have. So let's see if I could. I'm not going to try and name them all, but I've been on a hand. It might be more like my 10th one, honestly.
I think you've recorded
I'm a
few
professional.
podcasts.
I'm ready. Yeah, and I've recorded a few as well.
Obviously, I was kidding there. Man, I see your face everywhere. So,
yeah. So when did you start Let's Talk Cheer podcast?
Let's see. When did I start? I started during COVID. I think the exact date is April 26, 2020. Yeah, just chilling at home. You know, I always wanted to do a podcast. People had kind of like, Jason, you should do a podcast. You should write a book. You should do that. Like people wanted me to get these ideas out of my head and into the world, right? And so one day we went to a conference. We went to some conference and our coaches were there, and they came out of the whatever session they were in, and whatever they talked about in that session made them think that I should have a podcast. And they're like, Jason, you should really start a podcast. And that was the first time I really was like, yeah, maybe I will start a podcast. And
man, they were right.
yeah, for sure. So shout out to Claire, shout out to Bailey, who are still on staff today. And COVID happened, and I'm scrolling through TikTok, and one of the videos I came across said, and this is when we're like locked in our houses, like quarantine, right? And one of the videos had said, if you don't come out of quarantine with a new skill, a new hobby, a new side hustle, then time wasn't your problem, discipline was. And I was like, dude. So I was like, I got to come out of COVID with something new. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do the podcast. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I had a blog that I'd written a few blogs, and some of them had gotten some decent traction, in the industry. And I was just like, dude, it seemed like people did like some of the ideas that I had or my perspective on, just certain things in the industry. So that gave me at least enough confidence to try it out. And, did episode number 1, recorded that in my closet. And just today we released episode 226.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Incredible. Yeah. Congratulations. That's amazing. I think we are on episode 37. I think this is episode 37.
Oh, so yeah, we're going,
baby. We're in our infancy.
Yeah, we're just a baby compared to you.
Yeah.
No, but man, at 37, I felt like I knew what I was doing. I was like, 37, we're good. Like I felt like I was in a groove at that point for sure.
Oh, I had no desire to do this. I thought Stacy was crazy. I tried to talk her out of it a little bit of like, hey, can we do like every other month? And she's like, it just doesn't work that way. We're not going to get any traction. And then every other week, no. And then it was like, we're doing this every week. And then lo and behold, after about the second or third one, I really became like enjoyable for me. Like I really like to do it. So
Casey just loves to talk, and I think that he loves to talk to me. So we just have a good time, the two of us.
Right?
Exactly. We get to talk to each other, and then we have a cool guest on. So
there we go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When we
so
did
how
it,
did you?
I had like, real quick, Stace.
Yeah.
I remember because I relate to Casey being like, dude, I want to do this every week because I wasn't, now I'm, every Wednesday, right? But before, it was like anytime I didn't know what to talk about. So it was just like anytime something happened in the industry that I wanted to give my opinion on. And so the world was shut down and they had like said, hey, we're canceling. I can't remember which one it was. It was like, we're canceling Summit or Worlds. It was one of the two. And I like gave my reaction to it. And I was like, all right, here we go. I'm reacting to what, my thoughts on them canceling Summit and Worlds. And like a couple weeks later, Jomo was fired. And I was just like, I guess I'm going to talk about Jomo getting fired. And so I talked about like, Kentucky Cheer. And a couple weeks later, something else happened. Like maybe that's when Varsity said, or maybe that's when like someone said, they were like, we're thinking about giving seniors an extra year of eligibility. So like these things like kept happening. And I was like this, and then like nothing happened in the world for a while. So I was like, I guess I'm not podcasting this week. And then eventually I figured out a way to like do content. Like, okay, how can I consistently have content and do it every week? So I have a lot better of a system now. But I remember at first just being like, dude, they were kind of coming out just as stuff happened in the world. Whenever. And and they were kind of sporadic.
There was a lot happening. Yeah. There was a lot happening during that time. So you definitely had a lot to work with.
We actually had intended to do every other week. And then we were going to do some short episodes in the off weeks that was initially just kind of myself and Casey. But honestly, we've had so many different people that want to be on and different guests and, ourselves. And we're talking to the gym owners all the time. So different topics and things. Our podcast is obviously different than yours, but, we talk about business and leadership and things like that. And so we just, I don't know, we feel like we had more content than we knew what to do with. So we started basically just doing it every week.
Yeah. Let's go. People need something to listen to.
Stacey,
why not listen to you?
Stacy's a planner, so she can, she's got us planned out 6 weeks ahead of schedule. If the rest of the fellas had to do that, man, we would be trying to come up.
That's child's play, Casey. We're like 3 months ahead now.
I know,
yeah.
but
I like how organized you are. I get the things, I fill out the little whatever. I get the email, and you guys send like a whole PDF on like how to do the podcast. I was like, I don't send all this. I send like a little text message. It's like, hey, here are the keynotes. I was like, should I step up my pre-podcast game with my guests? No, they'll be all right. I haven't had any complaints so far.
Jason, let's not be mistaken. Yeah. It's not a y'all. That's a Stacy. So that's not a y'all. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I love the name Let's Talk Cheer. How did you come up with the name for the podcast?
I don't know. I wanted something that was just easy to just know what it was, like what the podcast was about. No offense to Stingrays, but what I think is like a perfect name is California All-Stars. California All-Stars Cheerleading. I think it's like a perfect name, right? It's like we're in California, it's cheerleading. I'm like, it's such a good name, right? And so I wanted something but some like, there's like random things out there. Like, what the heck is that? Right. And so I wanted something that was like, for sure, we are talking about cheerleading, and I really don't even know how else. I don't know. Let's talk cheer. So
yeah, it's perfect.
I thought it was a great name. So
it really is great. You know exactly what it is because we get asked all the time, what the heck is MotUS and what does that mean?
Yeah.
Which is a totally different concept because the name doesn't explain itself, but it also creates conversation, which then gives us, a platform to kind of explain what we're doing. So, but
it's the opposite of Let's Talk Cheer. It's
correct.
It's the polar opposite, but it works
this way.
Just the same, nonetheless.
Let's speak Latin for movement.
Yeah.
Edge. That could be the name that's our podcast.
Edge. I feel like Edge is like a razor. I feel like or something. I don't know. You're the men that shave your faces. Isn't Edge a razor or a?
Yeah,
what do you call it?
I haven't shaved in a while.
This is a good point. This is a good point.
I think we're keeping people on the edge of their seat. So.
Oh my God, too funny. So what are some of the hurdles that you've had along the way with your podcast? Technical hurdles or finding guests or just putting yourself out there. I know this is so outside of my comfort zone, although Kevin and Casey and Cole are like, oh, Stacy was, behind this. I mean, we talked to you actually, we just kind of wanted to talk about business and help, have just a different voice and a different aspect. And, about cheerleading and business in general. It could be for anyone. But it is out of my comfort zone. I feel like it's out of all of our comfort zones, but together we were willing to like, all right, let's jump in there and we can do this. We can do this together. But you went out there like solo
Yeah.
and did it, all by yourself. So what are some of your issues that you've had?
I think in the beginning was just trying to figure out, I wanted to do it as cheap as possible. Honestly, that was like my first goal. I'm going to do this is how can I do this and keep this thing free? So I was recording on my phone, which if you ever look at like the logo, like Let's Talk Cheer, like right before Let's, there's a little phone. There's an iPhone with like the little like the podcast, like the Apple podcast, like logo thing. And that was, I put that on there because I was recording it like just on my phone. Like I was like, I'm recording this straight on my phone. And, it was like I said, in the closet and, on my microphone, I have my little, I forgot what they call these things. Like it's like a puff blocker. So your plosives don't come out or whatever. Right. And I remember I made my own. And I like made my own and put my phone back there and doing that. And then I was just trying to figure out like how I could get better sound quality. And I ended up getting this microphone, which I thought was a decent microphone until I got this microphone and listened to it back to back. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize how big of a difference a good microphone makes. And so, just that, like, I just remember like trying to figure out like before I was recording on, now I record on Riverside, but I remember like, I was doing some episodes on Zoom and I did this other thing. I can't remember what the name of this other thing was, but I was recording on this other platform that it was supposed to like give you good audio quality, but I'm doing video on Zoom and it was this whole thing. And I'm very glad I found Riverside, which has made things significantly easier.
Shout out to Riverside.
Yeah. We love it. So this has made things significantly easier. Life is just easier using Riverside. So if you want to start a podcast, just go straight to Riverside.
Hey, for sure. So kind of an evolution there. Pretty cool of how you started from your phone and use some different platforms. So man, did you ever want to quit? Did you ever get to that wall of like, I just can't do this anymore?
No, I love talking cheer. Cheer's just been in my blood forever, so I just love talking about it. I could talk about it. I could talk about cheer all day long. And, I love talking to coaches, answering coaches' questions about, the same thing. You love talking how to build your cheer business or how to coach and how to, leadership, all those things. Like, I just love talking about it. And so when someone sends in a question, it's exciting for me to share with them the path that I've been down, some of the mistakes I've already made and be like, I did it like this, but don't do it like that. You really want to do it like, when I started doing it like this, I started seeing better results. Or to explain to a parent, X, Y, and Z, whatever the parent's question is, and be able to share with them a real perspective, from someone in the gym every day who's been doing it for, half their life. Right. So,
I couldn't agree more. I love to I could talk about the cheerleading business literally all day, every day.
Same.
I love it. And I've been involved.
And dance for me. I got to plug dance.
Yeah. I feel like I've been, I'm close to 30 years in now and I love it just as much as I did when I started. And you said something that hit home to me. I feel like I know way more about what not to do. So I can, that's what I can tell people. Hey, don't do this because I've already made this mistake.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I totally agree with that. All right, Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who has been your favorite guest of all time? If you had to pick one,
can you pick favorite guest? Oh man, who's my favorite guest? Shout out to the late great Edwin Melendez. Edwin and I coached together at PCM forever. And then, I came up here to run the program at American and he came on and we just laughed and laughed and laughed like I just remember being in tears laughing so much about just everything we were just reminiscing about, just like the good old days and just, everything, he's just telling these funny, he was the funniest guy ever. And so we just like laughed and laughed and laughed on that episode. And so we're going to go Edwin Melendez.
I love that. We have, we enjoy all of our guests, obviously, but the four of us, when we have the opportunity to record with just the four of us, we laugh a lot as well.
Yeah.
And we're kind of
each
idiots. Yes. At each other. It makes it super fun. All right. Tell us something that you've learned about cheer or yourself through doing the podcast.
What have I learned about cheer? It's funny. I've learned that I'm apparently transparent. People tell me that surprisingly a lot, where I'll have a parent or a coach who listens to the pod come up to me at a competition and I love how transparent you are. And I didn't realize I was that transparent. I try to tell the truth and share my perspective on things,
Sure.
But I didn't really realize that it was transparent,
that maybe other people weren't doing that made you transparent.
So I can share a story with you about your transparency and how it had an impact on our coaches.
Oh no, let's hear it.
No, it's really a positive thing. So you did a podcast over the expense of All-Star Cheer, and kind of did a deep dive into what it cost. And we realized at Stingray All-Stars that sometimes our coaches didn't really understand how much these parents were spending. So we actually put your podcast in one of our group meets to educate our coaches because, they would do things and it was all for great reasons. But, hey, we want to get these items, or it'd be really cool if everybody on the team would get this $250 whatever jacket. And we're like, hold on. These guys are spending a tremendous amount of money to do this sport already. But our coaches didn't understand that. So kudos to you. You put that out there, very transparent. You're in the cheerleading business, how you make your money, but you didn't shy away from that topic, and it was helpful to us and our staff.
Yeah, and that's one thing with cheer. It's one thing I really learned on accident at PCM. I'm a coach, but I don't know anything about the business. I just know how to coach, but it's not like they had to take me behind the walls of everything or behind the curtains and share all the numbers with me. But I was just ignorant on the actual business that was behind the scenes of the cheerleading, and, being on this side of things, understanding the numbers a lot more, understanding what the parents have to pay, trying to relate that to our coaches. Our coaches have an understanding of that. So they, so coaches can make a better decision on I needed to have all 9 strips of the panel when I coach at PCM. I need all 9 strips. They better not be interrupted, right? Yeah. It better not be interrupted for a second, for your
6 tinies. For your 6 tinies.
Man, the amount of times I've heard about the good floor. What do you mean the good floor? They're all 9 strips and they all have speakers, but I need the good floor. So,
yeah, for sure. Being like, yo, hey, we have a rec class. We have fundamentals. We have a rental. Like these, they need spaces. Like these things keep the lights on in the gym, and they pay all of our salaries, right? Not just the team that you coach. Winning Summit, winning Worlds, winning whatever competitions. Those are really cool, but they don't NCAA doesn't give you a check for winning NCAA. The parents give you a check because their kids came to class, right? So understanding that, and coaches know it, but they don't know it, they really
until you pay it. You don't know until you have paid it, and that's the thing. I'm blessed that my cheerleading bill is pretty good at Stingrays, but the other sports my kids have played, baseball and soccer. I mean, we did travel baseball, and man, that was a lot of money going out each month,
Yeah.
And
I think it's a balance. You want your coaches to understand, but at the same time, you want your coaches kind of fighting for the best for their team as well.
Absolutely.
So
and to do what they do well.
Correct. I think that you need every minute of the mat, no, because probably a lot of the time is wasted anyway. If we're being honest, if we're recording their practice and watching, they're probably wasting a lot of minutes. So they don't need every single minute of every single, hour on the full mat with their whole team. But I do think you want the coaches to be advocating and doing what's best for their team, but you also want them to have the bigger picture of the whole program and the entire business and all of the other things that are going on. And, so I think it's a balance of finding that center between all the things.
Well, it's a balance for the coaches to understand. It's also a balance for the parents to understand, because Jason, this, a large portion of our business is pass through money. If we got a piece of the hotel and a piece of all the plane flights and a piece of the uniforms and all that, then the fees may not have to be as high. But it's the margins are pretty tight.
They are slim.
That's the way it is. I think you said it. I think you called it a luxury sport.
Yeah. For sure. Casey, but hey, that's what we got.
MotUS is going to figure out how to get us a piece of all the hotel, a piece of the flights, all that. Yeah. Piece of the gas too. Let's go. Gas prices in California. Way up.
Oh, those California taxes, baby. California.
Yeah, man.
Gas taxes are crazy.
I don't know that we can do anything to help you out there in Cali. I'm not sure.
Move to Bakersfield.
Cali's a whole nother thing over there. Casey, what do you think you've learned through podcasting so far? How much you love talking?
I don't know. I knew I love to talk. I'm a talker. Everybody knows I'm a talker. I don't know. It's just, I don't know that I've learned anything other than I learned something new from every single guest that we have, which to me, that's really important. When I first started in the cheerleading business, I was blessed to be able to visit a lot of different gyms and do some choreography. Not well, might I add, but I would always go to those gyms and I was like, I want to see what they do better at their gym than we do at our gym. And I went to a lot of small gyms. I went to a lot of gyms where it was hard to find something, but I could always find, and then I also went to a lot of great gyms, don't get me wrong, but I could always find things that they did better. And then I wanted to bring those things back to incorporate in our gym. So I look at the podcast the same way. As our guests come on and we speak to them about whatever it is that they're an expert in, what information can I gather to then in turn bring back to what I'm doing and make that better? So just always learning, basically.
I think for me, not that either of you asked me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I think for me, it's...
What have you learned?
Honestly, I don't know. I agree. Like I agree with everything that you said, Casey. So I would also have the same sentiment. However, I think for me personally, I feel like I am busy 24/7, constantly doing something. We have so many irons in the fire. I feel like myself and Casey and Kevin and Cole, and there's just so many things going on that honestly, the podcast has been great for me because once a week for an hour, I get to just be with my friends or whoever we're talking to, who's most likely also my friend, and have a good time and just like zone everything out. I probably have 52 text messages and 400 emails in my inbox right now, but I'm not worried about a darn one of them because I'm just here hanging out with you guys. So that's one thing that I did not anticipate kind of coming out of the podcast, but I do enjoy that one dedicated hour a week where it's just all the noise is quiet and I'm just right here
chilling with our buddy Jason.
Yeah, totally.
No, it's fun. It's fun to do the 1 hour a week. You get to vent, you get to laugh, and just talk to another adult for a while. And it's just so many times we get off topic and we're just talking about who knows what, but we're laughing and having a good time and just like, here we go. That was fun. That was good. Here we go. See you next week, whatever. Yeah, right. Like, I did a survey once and I asked our listeners like what they liked and didn't like about the podcast or whatever. And there was like a short answer part. And I was like, I don't really like when they get off topic. They just talk about random things. So I always think about that when I get off topic. I'm like, that one listener. Probably don't even have
sounds like a MotUS agenda at a staff meeting.
Yeah. Right.
We are known to not all of us, but some of us are known to kind of divert and get off topic.
I'm going Cole on that.
Yeah.
We're not
usually
guilty of it.
Not to be stereotypical, it's usually a male. So
there you go.
There's three.
Minutes.
Pick your choice.
one of the men folk. So, but you said something a second ago about being able to get on and being able to vent and things like that. That was a little bit of a fear I had when we were starting the podcast, because man, we were starting in this age of, goodness gracious, if I say the wrong thing or I do the wrong thing, then I'm going to get canceled on X, and I had that fear of, man, my goodness, like I don't want to do the wrong thing. So it took a little bit to kind of get in the groove and be myself, and let my personality come out, because, like I said, I just had a little bit of fear of what people would think or take some or misinterpret something.
No, I feel you. I had this one kid on the podcast, and had him on, and they're telling this story. I asked them a question, and they threw out someone's name, like just straight out said someone's name. And I was just like, yo, you probably, but they were pretty young. They were a college cheerleader. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and edit that out for you. I didn't tell them. I was just like, you don't want to go there. So I took that whole part of the segment out. But you're like, dude, am I going to say something crazy, this, because you're just in the flow of everything. And then you start talking with your buddies and forget that it's going out to the world or whatever. But yeah, I've only gotten in trouble like once for something I said. So we're good.
I agree. We've edited some things out of the podcast for sure. And I think at the end of the day, we're good people. We're trying to, we're just trying to have a good conversation. We care about people and we want to help. And if we say something, I don't know. I think a lot of times I think the concern is more being taken out of context,
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. It's the age-old adage of no good deed goes unpunished, because that is truly the reason we started MotUS, because we want to help gym owners. We want to help them, help them to grow their businesses. We want to help them to increase profits, and we really want to be a good positive leader in the industry. Yeah. So anyway, let me take this time to tell you about Stacy Rowe's awesome book, The Pioneers of All-Star Cheer. We're about 2 weeks out from the release of that. So cheer fans, the wait is almost over. The Pioneers of All-Star Cheer is here to take you on the ultimate journey through the history, the passion, and the people who built the incredible sport. From the first chance on the sidelines to the global stage of All-Star, this book is a definitive history of cheerleading. Packed with stories from pioneers themselves, you'll discover how gym owners and entrepreneurs turn their dreams into the industry we know today. You can pre-order your copy right now, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and for signed copies, head to srfabrico.com. That is srfabrico.com. Don't wait. Those are going fast. Plus, if you'd like to join the celebration, I don't think you can join us live at this point. I think we've sold out. But we will be doing the official Pioneers of All-Star launch party. Is going to be streaming live right here on YouTube at the MotUS Edge. So come be a part of history as we celebrate the book, the pioneers, and the sport we love. The Pioneers of All-Star Cheer, pre-order today, and we'll hope to see you guys at the launch party. It's going to be awesome.
Whoop, whoop.
Congrats,
all right,
Stace.
I think it's my favorite. I know,
thanks, man. It's super exciting. It was a big labor of love, that book.
You guys that are writing books, we're going to talk about your book in a second, Jason. But
we are. I can't wait.
Can sit down and write a book like that, you guys just blow me away. So anyway, more on that. Before we get to that, it's that time. It's dad joke time. So today's dad joke comes to us from our very own CJ Weinberg.
So Jason, sometimes we do
shout out to CJ.
Yeah, CJ sending it in.
Yeah, so sometimes we try to see if we can keep a straight face during the dad joke. Do you want to do that? Do you want to see which one, you or me, who breaks character first?
I won't crack it all.
All right, here we go.
If y'all don't laugh, this is CJ's fault. It's not my joke. So why was the broom late to work? Why was the broom late to work? Because he overswept.
Gotta come better than that, CJ.
About to bust.
Gotta come better than that, CJ.
I totally suck at that game. I'm sorry.
Your boy
good.
is locked in.
I think I heard my wife over there on the couch answering that. So maybe she knew.
Oh, I thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny.
So I thought it was good. But be sure to send us your favorite dad jokes so we can share them on the show and give you a shout out. You can email them to Stacy@joinmotus.com. That's STACY @joinmotus.com.
There we
Awesome.
go.
Well, let's get to talking about Jason's book. I'm so excited. I don't get to talk to other authors very often, so this is like amazing stuff. I'm super pumped.
Author, new Instagram bio edit coming soon.
That's right. You
Famous
are an
podcaster
author. You are an author.
author.
How does that feel?
I honestly am very proud of myself. Like
You should be.
Just proud of myself. I would love to do millions in sales, right? But at the end of the day, what I don't necessarily care about the sales. I hope it has an impact on the parents in the industry, where they can where it just really helps them out in their journey. Like, I really hope that. But aside from that, I really just, I'm just proud that I started this project and that I saw it all the way through. Like, I just dedicated myself to finishing it, and that it's going to release.
I can't tell you, Jason, and if you haven't already heard this, you're going to hear it. I'm just going to tell you it's going to happen a million times. I can't tell you how many people say to me, man, I really would love to write a book. I've had an idea for a book, or I started a book, or, so many different things, but you should absolutely pat yourself on the back for finishing a book, publishing a book. Yeah. It's coming out tomorrow. In fact, I believe, is that correct? September 18th it comes out?
September 18th.
Is that the right
Let's
date?
go, baby.
And it's called Upside Down and Back Again, A Parent's Guide to All-Star Cheerleading. So what or who inspired you to want to write a book, and why this book?
Yeah, I think all of the, again, early on before the podcast, people would just say, Jason, you've got to write a book, or you got to start a like they'd always say that to me. And I was like, okay, and so obviously I went with the podcast, but the book was always still kind of back there. So after I started the podcast, then it's kind of exclusively, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. I just didn't know what I wanted to write it about. Coaching, which I'll probably eventually get to a coaching book. But I didn't want to do a coaching book like right now. It just didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right
now to do a coaching book. But eventually, I'm not even sure how I landed on a book for parents. Maybe it was just because so many of our, at first the podcast was really geared towards coaches. That's what I thought the podcast was geared towards. But then all of a sudden I realized I was getting so many questions in from parents. And I was like, dude, I'm getting a lot of questions in from parents, and realized that parents were listening as well. And so that, when I would when a coach would send in a question about the score sheet, I'm thinking, oh, the other coaches are going to listen to this and are taking notes. But I realized that parents want to know about the score sheet as well, And so, I'm at Disneyland, and I decide that I'm going to write this book. And then I just started writing down chapter names, and like, okay, what chapters would I write? If I were write a book, what chapters would I write about? And, wrote down several chapters and rearranged them in a way I thought made sense, and then started writing, And so, it's for all the all-star parents out there, so they can just understand cheer really from a coach's perspective. I think so many times parents are, kind of like the blind leading the blind. They're kind of guessing at why something happened. Why didn't your daughter make the level 3 team when she has all of her level 3 tumbling, and parents are trying to figure that out, kind of in the lobby, opposed to hearing directly from a coach.
My favorite is when they ask somebody at another gym, like,
right?
Why do you think at Stingrays they did this? Like, hey, ask us.
Yeah.
Not
for sure.
Not the guy teaching you the private lessons down the street. Ask us. We'll tell you.
Right.
That's pretty
So it
cool,
was
man.
all of
How
that.
long did it take? How long were you actively writing?
It took me about a year to write the manuscript. But it wasn't 365 days. It's not like I was writing every single morning. But I was pretty about 4 months in. I was about a chapter a month. And then and I took a couple months off and I was like, yeah, I gotta get back to this book. And then started writing seriously. But I just had a goal that I wanted the book to come out in a year. And started writing, so I kind of finished the manuscript in about a year, but I didn't really know what to do after that. I'd never written a book before. And I was like, all right, so what should I do next? So I hop online, I get on Upwork. For those of you guys who don't know, Upwork is like a freelance website. You can just find anyone. Hey, I need a new logo. I need someone to edit my whatever. Freelance website. So I hop on Fiverr or on Upwork and look for an editor. And I find some lady and I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. And we went through and she was going to help me get it from, the manuscript to, published online because she was going to do all of that. And did that, had to switch editors. I'm not an English major. I know a small fraction about cheerleading. I know even less about the punctuation, grammar, and, sentence structure, right? But I was still catching air. Like she'd send me back edits and I was like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah. Finding an editor that you trust, that you work well with, it's just like anything else. I totally agree. I don't talk about that often, but I feel like I have a good series of editors that I use now. I typically do like 3 to 5 edits for every book that I publish. And I have plugged in different people and kind of not gone back to other people because I'm like, okay, you didn't like, and as you learn and work with more people, Jason, you will realize like, oh, this person, I understand the difference between you and, you now, and I'm going to use you for this and use for this, or I'm not going to use you for that or whatever. So I encourage you, if you continue to write and publish more, like try another one, just so you find your people. Like after all this time now, I feel like I found my tribe of editors. I don't publish any book without all of them putting their eyeballs on it, because I trust them. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that you changed editors.
Dude, had to. It was funny. I put this on my story, but the first lady I had took out all of my that's. She said, that's unnecessary word. You really don't need it. I was like, cool, whatever. Awesome. So she took out like all the that's in my writing. And then the new lady put all the that's right back in. She's like, you need a that there. It's like, can't win. So whatever.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that is, that I feel like they tend to disagree sometimes on the proper way to do things. It's kind of funny. I even with my current round of editors, I notice that I just kind of go with what I think works best. And I'm like, okay, we're moving on. Okay. So how did you collect information for your book? Is it all of your own perspective? Did you actually like interview any parents or coaches or, where did the content come from?
A lot of it is just personal experience. Just, when I've seen so one of the things is, one of the chapters is about, why your athlete didn't level up, even though they had all the level appropriate tumbling, right? So they have all their level 3 tumbling, but they still made a level 2. So that chapter is really about all the most common reasons why an athlete can have all of their level appropriate tumbling, but still not make that team, right? The level 3 team, right? Even though they have their tuck and they're standing 3. So all the most common reasons. Now, it might not speak to everyone directly, but, most likely one of your reasons is in there, or some of the most common reasons why flyers, who are seemingly doing a good job, just come out of the air, like why that would happen. So a lot of it were things that I just had personal experience with, and just shared my perspective with. There is one particular chapter where I have a bunch of different coaches. I had people send in their like number one tip for for parents when it comes to All-Star Cheerleading. So I had athletes send in their number one tip, coaches send in their number one tip, and other parents send in their number one tip. And that's one of the chapters. And but a lot of it was just like, one of them's like, don't send crazy emails, and if you're going to if you have to have a hard conversation with your coach or your owner, here's how you have a hard conversation with your coach and owner without crossing the line or ruining the relationship there, And
I've had many of those meetings,
Yeah,
Same.
For sure. 100%.
I think for me, one thing I fall back on when I'm telling the parents, because it's always oftentimes they feel that there's this favoritism or, man, the coach is just like this kid more. And the reality is there is favoritism. A kid that shows up early for practice and gives their all and works and respectful, those are the coach's favorites.
Yeah.
But, I think a thing that kind of keeps the playing field level, so to speak, is the competitiveness of it. Our coaches, they play to win. We're trying to win the game. We're trying to win the competition. So we're not willing to, we're not going to make decisions that are going to hurt that, because it's a performance-based job. It's like being a football coach. I'm not going to not play my best quarterback because I like the backup quarterback better. If that means we're going to lose the game, I'm playing my best players. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I tell that to parents. I say this at our parent meetings all the time. Like, guys, exactly same thing you just said, Casey. I go, coaches will have favorites, and it's the kid who shows up on time, who comes in their practice wear, who works hard. Those kids tend to be, liked by the coaches.
Who will do anything that you ask them to do, whatever aspect of the routine it is. Like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, I'll go do that.
100%.
With a smile on my face.
And kids who complain and whine and make excuses, I said, but other kids, and then there are kids that we like, and I always say this, I was like, but it doesn't mean that just because I don't particularly like a kid, and I always tell the parents, you guys all have favorite coaches. You like this coach, you get along with this coach, you just gel more with their personality. And I said, but we're always going to try to put the team in the very best position, to win. I said, but if there's a tie between a kid I don't like and a kid I do like, well, that kid's going to go in the front. So always remember that. But,
that's exact in my kids in playing high school sports. That's the way I did it. I was like, I want to be a parent that is supportive of the program and that does my best to add to the program for that exact reason. Because that's exactly what I said. I never want my kid to play over someone that where that other person is better. And I don't think that ever happened because the coaches were trying to win. But in the case that you mentioned, if it's a tie, everything's equal, then how you act and the actions and the support of the program are going to can tip the scales for you.
Can tip the scales. I heard that.
Roger does a really good parent meeting where he talks about, the reality is, and not everybody likes to hear this because they're your kids and it's your most prized possession. And we typically think our kids are, and I throw myself into this as well. However good our kids are, their parents think that they are that plus one or two, so we're always propping our kids up a little bit. But the reality is there's just a handful of phenoms. There are some kids that can walk in the room and anybody, the person with the least knowledge knows that that's the best kid in the room or the second best kid in the room. I mean, you see it on the football field, on the baseball field, on everywhere else. And then a large portion of the athletes fall into this other group, that's not the phenom. So what are you doing, to separate yourself? And you brought up a lot of great points right there of like, are you showing up early? Are you making eye contact with the coach? Do you get to know the coach? Do you, are you respectful? And to your point, Stacy, are you doing every single thing that's asked of you? And I think if you do, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the call.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you guys were just sitting at my dinner table yesterday when I was having this very conversation with my son about soccer. My goodness.
We've all lived it. You live it with your own children.
For sure. 100%. Absolutely. Jason, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you think parents have about All-Star?
Here's one off the top of my head is that parents feel that the levels or that the team that they are on is designed to get them to the next level. And the reality is they're not, teams aren't really designed to get you to the next level. Teams are really, and they're not even designed to like master that level. Teams are designed to win competitions, right? And so, and there are some things that naturally happen. If I'm on a level 3 team and I'm working my round off hamstring tuck every single day and I'm working my standing 3 every day, that means I have a really good standing tuck. Like my standing handsprings get better just naturally by doing standing 3 every day. My tuck's getting stronger every single day by doing round off hamstring tucks every single day. And now I can kind of just do standing 2 handsprings and a tuck, right? A level 4 skill without having to go to an additional tumbling class, right? But just because you're on level 3 doesn't mean you're ever going to get a chance to work a layout, right? And so the team, and there's other skills that you do that just, some skills come naturally just by being on the team every day. And some skills you actually have to go and get yourself. And so I say in the book, you know, the HR department is not in charge of your career. You're in charge of your career, you know? And so don't think that, you know, the level 3 team is in charge of getting you to the level 4 team, or the level 4 team's in charge of getting you to the level 5 team. Like, you know, your path is really in your hands to go in and take additional classes and private lessons and all those things, because the team is really designed to put out the best team, the most competitive team they can put out that season.
That's
I think
interesting.
that's an interesting, sorry, Casey. I think that's an interesting concept. Casey, you might have been going here, so we'll see. But I feel like back in the day, which Jason, I know Casey's definitely older than you. I think I'm a little bit older than you, but way back in the day,
why you
I
throw
feel
in the
like
definitely?
Because we always pick on Casey.
He's an old
He
guy
might be
here.
older. Yeah, he's
Casey's
definitely
older. Casey's older. But back in the day when All-Star first started, I feel like the team kind of was about growing to the next level and gaining new skills. That's kind of what it started out to be. However, fast forward, it's become so competitive that you're absolutely right. Like the team is designed to try to win competitions or to put their best foot forward, let's say, at a competition. And the skills learned for anything beyond that need to come outside of the practice for the team, which I don't feel like it started that way, but it's grown and evolved so much to that's where we are. So Casey, take it from here, because I think that's
exactly
where you were going too.
That's exactly where I was going. So 20 years ago on wasn't level 3, but on a youth team that needed some sort of tuck, we had zero problem. Yeah, we had zero problem putting a kid on there that could do a good round off 2 back handsprings, because we knew they were going to do a tuck. But I think the difference was back then they were also going to build a straight up stunt, do their 2 or 3 body positions, and come down, and stunts were done. You know, they didn't have to do this 17 other things. And that's a little concern that I have in today's All-Star, because, you know, I come from the old school. So first of all, I agree with exactly what you're saying, Jason, but through the progression, like I said, a phenom, a person who is just born with this God-given ability and talent, like nothing's going to slow them down and nothing's going to mess them up. But then some of these other kids, it's a pretty short window, you know, and we had kids, it seemed like 20 years ago, we had kids that could somewhat fast track to some higher level skills because they were able to advance through the divisions faster. Whereas today there's so many, like I look at the list of the requirements to be on level 1, and, you know, it's 15 bullet points, you know, and in the early days of All-Star Cheer, the requirements to be on level 1 were that you showed up for tryouts. Like,
breathe on this mirror.
Right. You know, and now it's insane. I mean, I joke because I'm like, what do you mean this 5-year-old's not good enough to be on this team? You know, and then we have to create something. You know, we're all working hard to create new and better entry levels so that there is a spot for everybody. So that's one awesome thing about All-Star, is that it's been very inclusive to all ages and all levels and all things like that. But man, I kind of worry about, like, are we going to run out of level 6 athletes because they don't have time to get to level 6 now? Because I got to spend.
It's so different from.
They have to start at novice and then they have to perfect level 1, which it might take 5 years with the 15 bullet points.
Correct.
100%. That is 1,000% correct. And the crazy thing about level 1 is it doesn't transfer really that well. At least the tumbling doesn't transfer that well to level 2. No. You could do a back walkover. It doesn't have anything to do with the back handspring. At least level 2, back handsprings, you're going to do that the rest of your cheer career.
Go around to our world's teams and ask those kids to do a back walkover.
No, most of them can't, I'm sure.
Can't do it.
I heard that. And it's so crazy because it's so different from the rest of the sports where, you look at your world's team, it's a completely different sport that they're doing than a level 2 team. But at least, in football, it's the same sport. They're not nearly as good, but it's the same sport. They're still throwing the ball. They're still doing run plays. They're still tackling. Like, they aren't limited they're just limited by their actual ability, but they're not limited by, these other things. Like, I'm not able to do a double full, right? So the kids are still playing the same game in football and still playing the same game in basketball, and all the other sports are really, high school football. The JV team is designed to get those kids on the varsity, but it's really not like that in All-Star Cheerleading. And I 100% agree. I remember when I was cheering, the lower levels were designed to get you on to, what we would consider the world's team now. But it has shifted.
This was wrong, so I'm not advocating for it. But in my early days, I taught so many tumbling classes. And the kids walked through the door, and the first day they were there, we started them on back handsprings. Day one, it didn't matter if they weren't flexible, if they couldn't do a back bend, any of that. We were picking them up and flipping them over. Once again, that was wrong.
Right. Thank God we're not there anymore.
Correct. So we have made a lot of progress in that. But I am very optimistic and confident that over we're still this sport's still so young. And I think we'll have opportunities to be able to create some of those or bridge some of those gaps that you speak about from like level 1 to level 2. Because, if you do spend 5 years in one level, then it's going to be tough to make it to the highest levels. And the reality is everybody has physical limits. They've got a ceiling. And the good news is we can't see the ceiling, so you never get to limit a kid because you can see it. But there is a time limit, because we all talk about this. Once the kids get a life other than just living in the gym, they hit 9th, 10th grade, they got a boyfriend, they can ride in a car, they can go to a party, they can do these things that may have a little bit more pull than the gym does at that time, then it's really tough to gain skills from there on. So there is kind of a small window. You got to get on it.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, we are so proud of you. I know personally how difficult and just what an accomplishment it is for you to have written and published a book. So exciting. I'm so excited for you. We're happy to have you on and celebrate. Tell us where readers can find the book. Tell us anything you want to tell us about the book. Give us your 1 minute elevator pitch. I don't know. Just tell us all about the book.
Elevator pitch.
Jason's book place, because
yeah. You could find it. It'll be on Amazon. So Upside Down and Back Again. It will be. And if you can't find it on Amazon, you can find. I'll be promoting it every time you open Instagram. You had better see an Upside Down and Back Again ad from me. So go to the Let's Talk Cheer podcast Instagram page, and I will be promoting it like crazy there. And I just think. I think it's going to be a really good resource. Obviously, I think it's going to be a great resource for parents, but I think it's honestly going to be a really good resource for gyms, to keep, either a part of your onboarding process. Hey, you're brand new to cheerleading. This is going to answer all of your questions you have about All-Star Cheerleading, so gyms can give it away, or hold it in your pro shop and do it there. So if you're a gym owner listening to this right now, holla at your boy, because I will get you the discount, and you make a little side change for yourself. Keep the skin off the top. So holla at me, and we'll get you. I'll get you some signed some signed copies of the book.
I
so
love
yeah,
that.
find me on Let's Talk
I
Cheer
know a gym
podcast,
owner.
Instagram.
Right.
And that guy's got 1,000 kids in his gym. Let's go.
Right.
That's a lot of
I
books.
will definitely
That's a lot
be
of
going
books.
on Amazon. I will definitely be going to Amazon tomorrow to purchase my copy for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate
I'm excited to read it, man. It's been great getting to know you. I met you, I think, really met you at Tammy Van Vliet's conference a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And man, you just got such a great personality and such an awesome vibe and just really cool, positive energy. So it's been amazing to watch you do your thing and grow your podcast and now write a book. And I'm excited to read it. So,
Hey,
good stuff.
Congrats,
love you guys.
man.
Thanks
It's
for having me
awesome.
on, guys.
It's really awesome.
I need to tell you guys about some MotUS membership, right?
Go ahead. Yeah. Casey, do you want to do it? You want me to do it?
I can do it because you can
All right,
do
you go right
You're
ahead.
do the quote next. So.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Owning a gym doesn't have to be lonely. Join the movement today. MotUS is a powerhouse community of gym owners who share, support, and grow together. Inside the MotUS Vault, you'll unlock ready-to-use templates, fresh resources, and exclusive discounts with partners like Infinity, Vault Event Media, Cheer Sounds, and much, much more. In addition, you receive 15% from any of our Prime Alliance event producers, All Out Brands, Winner's Choice, World Cheer Company, All Day Cheerleading, American Spirit Championships, and CX brands. Plus, your membership includes 2 seats at the MotUS Business Expo Conference in Nashville, Tennessee each year, 2 days of business growth, leadership, and networking free with your membership. Ready to level up your gym? Join MotUS today at joinmotus.com. That's JOINMOTUS.com. Thank you very much.
Yes, and if you're not signed up for this year's conference, I'm so sorry. We are sold out. You can sign on up for next year. But yeah, super, super exciting stuff. All right, Jason. So we always end with a quote that we kind of unpack and talk about a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Generally, it's a Simon Sinek quote. He is one of my favorites. I love him and everything that he has to say about business. I think he's wonderful. So his quote for today is, "Genius is in the idea. Impact comes from the action." What do you think?
It reminds me of Seth Godin, who has a quote that says, "There's no shortage of great ideas. There's a shortage of execution." And yeah, it just reminds me of, how many people said, "Hey, I want to write a book." You were talking about this before. I want to write a book. I want to start a podcast. And honestly, the only thing I've done better than anyone when it comes to these things is I just did it. I just made episode number 2. And then I made episode number 3. And then I made episode number 4. And that's the only thing. There's a ton of people who know a lot more about cheerleading than I do, a lot more about business than I do, a lot more about relationships than I do, or can explain to parents things a lot better than I can. But I just decided to execute those things and make it happen, not get distracted. So yeah, I absolutely love that. It's not about having great ideas. It's about just having the will to execute them. And I tell this to our staff all the time. And when I go to coaches conferences, it is way better to execute an idea at 80% than waiting till you have the perfect idea, than a great, perfect idea that's just sitting on a napkin or on a whiteboard somewhere. Like, just get it done and go. And episode 37, you've learned so much along the way just by doing it, but you can't maneuver anywhere sitting in park. So there you go.
Man, I had that same talk with my daughter last night, literally the exact talk, explaining to her, like, I'm never the smartest guy in the world, but I'm willing to do it. And I'll take that action and I will do the work. Not always perfectly. Mm-hmm. Well, actually never perfectly. It's not always efficient. Sometimes I don't even work smart, but I will start, and I preach to my kids, like, the best day, like, I ask them all the time, when's the best day to start? And that's today. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's investing or learning or whatever, like, start today.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's a lot of times it's fear that gets in the way. People are afraid to fail, or they don't know. They say they don't know how to start, but I feel like they're more afraid of the end. What if I do this? What happens? I'm like, well, what if so what if, what if you don't? How about you give it a try and see what happens, so you fail. Oh, well, all right. Then you move on to something else. Like the world's going to keep turning. Sun's going to come up tomorrow,
Free to fail.
Yeah, I agree. Fail forward fast is one of the greatest sayings that I ever heard. It's like, don't be afraid to, everything I've ever tried to do in life wasn't amazing. It didn't always work out, but I did it. I moved on to the next thing, so congrats
dozen books
to
later.
you.
Let's go.
Right. Well, and that's what I was just going to say. Congrats to you for finishing your first one. That's kind of why I chose this quote today, because you took the action. I remember you talking to me. It's been over a year for sure. Yeah. I feel like, but I remember you saying, hey, I think I want to write a book, or I started writing a book. I can't remember which. And you were like, if I need to pick your brain, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Call me anytime, happy to help. And now here you are, you did it. It's awesome. Again, congrats. It's amazing. And I can't wait to watch you publish more, because I know you're going to. It's just once you get the bug. Now the
pressure's on.
Yeah, once you get the bug.
Yeah, there you go.
So every episode, we ask our listeners a question. Jason, when we have a guest, we ask you to ask the question. So what question would you like to ask our listeners?
Oh, what question do I want to ask the listeners? What is my question? This is always, where do they answer it at?
On social media. So
on
I say
social
that
media.
Yeah. So after you say the question, they go to our social media at Join MotUS. They find the podcast graphic for today and they comment the answer to their question there. And while they're there, we ask them to be sure to hit the follow button.
Okay. Here goes. I got 2 questions I think are pretty good. We're going to go with this one. We're going to go with, what is better, the day before vacation or the last day of vacation?
Oh, so that's deep. The day before vacation or the last day of vacation, which is better?
Which is
I
better.
love that.
Easy answer for me.
And I guess technically, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment the answer to your question right there on YouTube. That would be fine as well. So thank you again so much, Jason, for joining us. We really have appreciated you coming on today. It's been wonderful. Congratulations again for your book. So looking forward to that coming out tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the MotUS Edge. Check out our shorts, like, and comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Join MotUS. Follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a comment and be sure to tell all of your friends. And hey, if you're a gym owner, don't forget to join the movement and sign up for MotUS today. Thank you all for listening. And we are so excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.
There we go. And the 5-star review. Don't forget the 5-star review.
5 stars. Yes. 5 stars.
Love it.
5 stars, people.
Yes, only the 5 stars.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.